Hey, everybody. I think I'm live. All right. Well, welcome to an entire masterclass on how to stand out, be recognized as an authority, and make more money. Essentially, how to really propel yourself in that next level of visibility, um, impact, and financial freedom, because they're all intertwined to some degree. So, as change makers, way weavers, and soulful leaders, we all know the necessity of becoming visible, the necessity of becoming known and recognized as an expert in this noisy and busy landscape, especially online in social media. So, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you 4 things that I believe and I have seen with my clients, even with myself, matter the most um, to help you create that powerful impact and be recognized as an authority to start to really set yourself apart. And dare I say, even become famous in your field or industry. As the way all of my work goes, this is going to be a happy marriage of um, inner expansion work and strategy. And actually, there's going to be more strategy in this training than inner expansion, just because inner expansion to some degree is the foundation of it. And then there are some very specific strategy you can do to really set yourself apart, but they don't work without the expansion piece, which is kind of why we're going to start there. Um, because here's the truth: if you don't feel safe being seen, if you don't feel safe being an authority, if you don't feel safe in your own bigness and being seen in your own bigness, then you can do all the strategies in the world. They will not work for you. So, in part 1, we're going to focus on the inner work of basically shifting your neurology and identity expansion, so that you can show up powerfully, execute powerfully, and be magnetic to your ideal clients. And then the last 3 parts are going to be very focused on strategy, so that you can kind of explode your visibility, your expert status, and you can grow your audience with ease. So, part 2, I'm going to go over this really important piece for me, which is finding and organizing the entirety of your business, including your marketing, around your golden thread. So, discovering what your golden thread is. I'm actually going to give you a few questions to help you figure out what that is, so that you can show up and be very unique in your field and kind of a fresh new voice of power and authority in your industry. In part 3, we're going to talk about practicing what I call audacity and authenticity marketing. And in part 4, I'm going to give you 2 different ways to start to extend your reach and grow your audience with ease. Before I get into the meat of all of this, I'm going to take a minute to introduce myself in case you are new to me. Hi, I'm Ilsa. I'm a total spiritual nerd. I'm a bookworm. I'm a dog mama, a book lover. I'm also really love words and strategy and copywriting, which you will see in some of the strategies here. I live in Boulder, Colorado with my husband and our 2 furry babies. Professionally, for the last, it might be over 20 years at this point. I haven't done the math. I keep saying for the last 20 years. And I might have been saying that for a little while. But essentially, I've been for a long time a psychotherapist, an expansion expert, and a strategist. I marry neurology or nervous system work with identity work and with strategy. For me, like they're kind of like the perfect recipe to help leaders and business owners like tame the chaos, the internal chaos, the external chaos of life, of growing a business, and to help them move past any kind of barriers that are keeping them small and keeping their income and their growth capped. So, if you would like to experience this work at a deeper level, I have just check out the description of this video. I have two different options for you. I have one paid option where you and I actually sit down and meet for 90 minutes and we do an intensive and do a lot of expansion work in there. And that's offered to you at a significant discount if you are new to this work and new to me. Um, and I also have a free option to help you go deeper. So that's my call to action. That's my introduction. Let's get started. Okay. All right. So a huge amount of the work I do with clients prior to even and ever working on strategy is to literally help them start to rewire their identity so that they can feel safe claiming what they want. And they can feel safe claiming that bigness and becoming visible in that bigness. They can also feel safe receiving and holding what they want. And for me, that's always the foundation because you can work really hard trying to create something. But if there's a part of you that doesn't feel like you have the capacity to hold it, or you're not worthy of it, or it's going to come at too high of a sacrifice or a cost to you to create it, you will resist the growth and you will block through that contraction, you will block the results you desire. You will literally like armor yourself and sabotage the process. So, part one is always the expansion work. You have to do the nervous system expansion work, the recoding and reprogramming work, so that you can claim your inner power. You can claim a sense of certainty, a sense of calm, a sense of confidence, and a sense of capacity. And that's going to help you both become magnetic and become really attractive to your audience, to people who are watching you. And it's going to help you also feel really safe and grounded with more so that you're not triggered into overwhelm or you don't feel like you're losing yourself in the process. So without that initial foundation of expansion work, of identity work, of safety and capacity work, essentially none of the strategies that you will do will work correctly because you're going to be blocking and sabotaging the process and the progress because something in you is actually afraid to grow and afraid to be seen in that growth. Without anchoring ourselves in what I call the unwavering ground of safety, and without activating that innate natural power that we have inside us, what ends up happening is that we do a shit ton of work for what I call lukewarm results. And so I want to give you a couple clues that you might have a nervous system contraction around visibility, around growth that you need to address before you even try to focus on doing more or changing your strategy or pivoting your messaging or any of that. For a lot of us, when things are not working or we feel capped, we tend to think that it's something we're doing that's actually not working, when more than likely it's who you're being that's not working. So if you feel like you have an invisibility cloak on you, like you're speaking to the void, it doesn't matter how much you do, no one's responding, no one's engaging, no one seems to care, no one seems to resonate or relate to it or be interested in it. That is a nervous system wound. Like, there is no doubt about it. Like, I don't know you personally, probably, unless you're one of my clients, and I do. but you know that what you have to offer and what you're sharing is super valuable. And yes, you might have a messaging issue where you're not articulating quite clearly, but more than likely, if you weren't afraid to be seen in the bigness of what you're offering, in the importance and the significance of what you're offering, you would naturally attract people who are interested in the same thing as you, people who have experienced what you're talking about to some degree and are excited that somebody's talking about it. So if you feel like you have an invisibility cloak, that you're talking into the void, if you feel like you have all the wrong people in your audience, that is another sign. It's like, oh yeah, I'm getting engagement, but it's all the wrong people. Those are all signs that there is literally a visibility, safety, contraction in your nervous system around that growth, around that boldness and that leadership that you need to be able to hold to be seen in that authority. Another sign that there is a contraction in your nervous system around growth and visibility is that you actually find yourself unable to execute your strategies or to show up powerfully with any kind of consistency. So you get excited, you want to do it, and then something in you shrinks. Or you might show up powerfully for a couple days because you're like you got excited about something and you found your courage, but then you can't sustain it. Like then you start to shrink again, you start to dim your light. Those are all signs that something in you just doesn't feel like it's safe to be seen and to hold people at that next level. So for many of us who are soulful, purpose driven entrepreneurs and business owners, we're kind of caught in a tug of war. And I speak of this from truly personal experience. And in full disclosure, it is still one of the things that I struggle with the most. Um, all the time, I have clients or even people on YouTube that I've never met who will message me, email me, and say to me, "Why are you not famous? Why are not more people seeing your videos or seeing your content?" The only answer I have to that is it's something in me that still doesn't feel safe blowing up. It's something in me that is either afraid of attracting negative attention, or being criticized or judged or attacked in some ways. It's something in me that potentially feels that if suddenly I did have this big growth in my visibility, I would be overwhelmed with people who want to work with me and I wouldn't be able to hold it. And so, the good news with that is I've actually built a really successful, very sustainable, recurring income business with very little reach. So if you are somebody who does have a big invisibility cloak on you, I want to tell you that you can actually build a very successful business, without needing to be huge. That being said, if you have a deep desire to reach the masses, to have a true impact in this crazy ass fucking world that we're living in right now, if you know that what you have to offer could change millions of people's lives, and yet it doesn't matter what you do, like your visibility feels capped, then this is what I'm creating this video for you for, so that you can really truly create the iconic legacy, show up in your brilliance, have the impact that you want and is right there on the other side of something. So I'm creating this training for you guys, and I'm creating it for me because this is also the work I do in and with myself. So there we are. We're as soulful, sensitive, purpose-driven business owners. A lot of us as transformational leaders, a lot of us are in this weird tug of war between wanting to really have this powerful impact, wanting to lead a life and a business of significance, while also feeling maybe a little unsafe, a little overwhelmed at the idea of having too much attention on ourselves, of having to hold this many people. And that tug of war between both kind of creates a double bind where there's no good place to go. We're like kind of stuck. And it creates a visibility wound inside our nervous system that translates into that cloak of invisibility, creates into a block that goes something like, it's not safe to be seen, it's not safe to be big. And so, by the way, this is so common. It's like a very common nervous system block. And it's something that haunts a lot of us. Unfortunately, it's also the main thing that will sabotage our ability to grow our audience, our ability to attract the right clients, and our ability to really step into that place of leadership and to be recognized as an authority in our field. And this contraction that we have around, it's not safe to be big, it's not safe to be seen in our bigness, it shows up in a number of subtle ways. It's going to keep you essentially dimming your light. It's going to keep you playing small, staying small, being silent when you should speak up because you don't want to create friction or ruffle feathers. It's going to show up in you undercharging for your work, or not showing up like on a sales call or in a video or something with as much power and conviction as you could. And it's going to show up as you actually being unable to do the things you know you should. And I hate the word should, but I'm going to use it. Like, we all have things that we know, man, if I did that, things would be a lot different in my business. I should show up more consistently. I should go live. I should do this. I should reach out to those people and see if they want to hop on a call with me. Like, we have all these shoulds in our business, and we know they would make an impact. We know they would make a difference. And yet we have all this resistance. It's always like, yeah, I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. And it never quite happens. And another week, another month, another year has gone by, and we haven't done the things we know would move the needle. So this and all these things together, they kind of reinforce our sense of doubt in ourselves, our sense of lack of trust in ourselves, and our sense of smallness. And then we're stuck in a vicious cycle because then nothing changes, which then reinforces that it's not working and there's something wrong with us more. And all of this tends to stems from that foundational piece of something in you doesn't feel safe truly being you. There is a contraction, a wound in the nervous system around feeling safe being big, feeling safe being fully expressed, feeling safe being seen in that fullness of expression, in that bigness, feeling safe attracting a whole bunch of attention. And until we feel safe, there's no capacity, because it's always like this. Safety leads to greater capacity, which leads to greater receivership and leadership. And all of them together lead to what I call self-mastery. And what happens, and here's the dark side of this. Let's say you have these unknown, unconscious contraction in your nervous system, or you actually might know they're there. You might know that something in you doesn't feel comfortable being really visible, being seen in that authority as that expert, all of that. But let's say you find your courage. Maybe you're working with a coach, or you're with a group of people, or you're doing a challenge and you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show up. And you muster that courage to show up powerfully and to do the thing that you've been wanting to do and afraid of doing. But meanwhile, your nervous system is constricted and contracted. My mentor, Shamika Tinkerson, always says, getting results doesn't take hard work, it takes courage. And I think there's a real truth to that. The problem with that is if we take courageous action on a nervous system that is constricted and contracted, usually what happens is that what we deliver, what we create falls flat or even repels others. There's something about it they don't trust, they don't feel comfortable with them. And literally what's happening there is mirror neurons. So when your nervous system is in contraction and somebody's engaging with you, whether it's live or whether it's over a video or even to some degree, even in a post that you're writing, there's something about the way we engage and the way we show up where how contracted or how liberated and expanded we are actually shows up in what we're doing. So if you're live or on video, it's going to show up in the way your face moves. It's going to show up in your tone of voice. It's going to show up in the way your hands and arms moves. It's going to show up in your eye contact, in the sound of your voice. If you're in doing something in writing, but your nervous system is going to be contracted, it's going to show up in the words you use, in how your statements are formulated, in how you're holding back, and everything's a little maybe too vanilla. There's going to be something in the way you create that actually doesn't land for people and doesn't make them feel expansive. And that's the mirror neuron. People will start to match you. Their nervous system will start to calibrate themselves to your nervous system. So if you're doing from contraction, you get contracted results, which is why it's really important to always have that foundation of expansion. One of the things I do and one of the things I teach my clients is how to do that even before you go live, before you get on a sales call, before you create and post a piece of content, how to come back into this place of expansion so that you're starting from the right foundation to begin with. Because if not, what you're doing will actually create the opposite impact than you're wanting. It will contract people rather than expanding them. So as you expand your nervous system and you find that sense of safety, that sense of capacity, it starts to feel for you safer and safer to be big, to be seen. And for others, they start to feel that sense of trust and they start to be naturally attracted to the expansion that they sense in you. That, my friend, is the definition of magnetism. And it is how visibility grows. Because when that's happening, people actually start to get the results you are essentially asking them to pay you for before they even start to work with you. And part of what begins to happen in them is this sense of like, wow, if I'm feeling this good, just listening to this person's content, if I'm feeling this expansive, if they've allowed me to shift my perspective just by like being like listening to something free or reading something free, I wonder what becomes possible when I get in a room with him or her. I wonder what becomes possible for me when I'm in their sphere, when I'm in their field, when I'm doing the work that they're actually keeping for their private clients. When my clients start to see their magnetism, their visibility grow, and they start to see results flowing in, then the next step after that is to actually learn to stay regulated, to stay in expansion, to stay relaxed as you continue to grow and calibrate and recode your nervous system for that next level of visibility and impact for that next level of expansion. So it's always a cycle to some degree. Like we start to expand so that we can start to receive more, we can start to be seen more, but we're also continuing to relax ourselves and to regulate with more so that nothing in us starts to say, oh shit. And we don't become overwhelmed or triggered or flooded by the shift that we're seeing in our lives and then start to restrict, start to shrink, start to sabotage the results. And so this is literally the circular spiral of growth. You start to heal, relax, and open as a foundation and find that safety. Then you start to show up more powerfully, and then you continue to expand your capacity and to stay regulated with more for that next level of growth, of visibility, of impact. And you do that from a place of ease and joy so that you're never going back into that paradigm of it's hard. Like in many ways, that's what we have to break out of. We live in a culture, in a society that is built on the back of hard, of dangerous, of heavy. And we have to shift that. We want to make growth and visibility feel easeful, aligned, and flow. And this is kind of how you ignite that iconic brilliance within yourself. And you keep kind of like expanding your impact and creating that legacy of influence and significance through your body of work. So that expansion work is primary, it's primordial, and it will make growth and visibility significantly easier for you and for your business, for your actual results. It'll help you show up boldly, execute the strategies consistently and powerfully. It'll help you create that sense of connection, of trust, of attraction with people in your audience. It will help you kind of recalibrate their nervous system before they even buy with you so that they're basically selling themselves. And you will be essentially the lighthouse in their stormy journey. They will want to come closer. And that is the definition of magnetism. People just want to come closer. Your presence becomes a nourishing and healing balm that makes it safe for them to expand, that makes it safe for them to start to imagine what becomes possible for them by being in your program or being with you, working with you. So this is part one, the inner work. We're done. You know how much I care about this. You know how important I feel that it is. And do yourself a favor. Please do that work. And if you don't do it with me, do it with someone else. For me, when I work with clients, it's always half and half. We're doing the identity and neurology, nervous system work, and then we're building the strategies on top of that so that the entire business model, the entire marketing campaign is literally in alignment with your own energetic rhythm, with your own resonance, with the bigness that you are when you are no longer shrinking or contracting. So now we're shifting into the strategy piece around expanding your visibility and your recognition. So part two is all about discovering your golden thread. Once you feel expanded and empowered and you're anchored in that ground of safety, you feel safe being seen, you feel safe being seen in your bigness, you feel safe being self-expressed and being yourself. Now you have to actually start to take that inner expansion into an outer expansion. And it's time to tackle at this point your messaging and your marketing. One of the biggest struggle my clients experience in growing their business and getting visible is coming up with a compelling message that is clearly articulated so that their ideal client know exactly what they're saying. And it's articulated in such a way that it differentiates them from the competition and it positions them as a unique voice in their field. So many of us do multiple things. Like, just if you look at me, I work with the nervous system, I work with identity, I work with emotional turmoil and trauma, I work with strategy, I work with marketing, I work with copy and making sure the copy is in alignment with who you're becoming. Like, I do so many things. But if I start to put everything I do all over the place all the time, then what I end up with is a confused audience. Are you a healer? Are you a therapist? Are you a business coach? Are you a copywriter? Like, I understand why people would be overwhelmed. And many of us are that way. We can support our clients in a number of ways. We do not want to limit ourselves because everything we do is important. But to become a well-known and recognized authority, our message and our marketing has to focus on something specific. And this is not your niche. This is your golden thread. It has to focus on something specific that is different, unique, maybe slightly disruptive to the status quo. And both, when I say the status quo, I mean literally the status quo in your industry, in your field, how other people are doing it and how other people are teaching it, but also the status quo of your potential client, their inner status quo, their inner belief system that have been keeping them stuck in their lives. And it is that disruption and that uniqueness that that literally flows through your whole business that will hook people's attention. So your golden thread is that one thing, that one big idea that flows through all the work you do, or that is at the foundation of all the work you do, even if you do other things. And it is that one big idea that differentiates you from everybody else who does similar work. And it positions you as a fresh new voice in your field. The golden thread allows people to start to connect you to something specific. So it's a very distinctive point of view on change and transformation, on how you help people. It's going to influence the entire philosophy of your work. It's going to be anchored in your big why, like why you do the work you do and why you do it this way and why it's important. And it's going to really, your golden thread becomes a huge part of the higher purpose of your work and kind of like the foundation of your message, of your mission, of your marketing, and even of your offers. So I'm going to give you my personal example. For me, it's the important role that the nervous system plays in expansion, in being able to create supportive money, of being able to be seen in a big way. Like, I can talk about visibility or making money in so many different ways, and a lot of people talk about it that way. Very few talk about safety and capacity and nervous system expansion as the foundation to those things. And that is what makes me different. So even a training like this, which is about visibility, I will always start with the thing that makes me unique, with my golden thread, and then I will add other pieces. But my clients have no doubt that even though they get me as a copywriter, as a marketing expert, even though I help them create their offer, figure out their pricing, create marketing campaigns, like figure out the content of their retreat, like we do it all. But they started working with me for the nervous system work, and they continue to work with me in their nervous system in. All right, sorry about that. I was getting a call on Messenger. That was weird. So what was I talking about? Yes, I was talking about my golden thread of the nervous system and making sure that that is included in every aspect of my business, from my messaging to my marketing to my content to my offers. So the golden thread, your golden thread, is the overarching theme in your work. It's something that literally flows and permeates everything you do and keeps coming back over and over, that you believe in strongly, and that kind of lights you up when you talk about it. And it's the thing that in the end will catch people's attention because it's different, and it's going to be what's going to set you apart from the competition. um, in terms of discovering what that is for you, often your golden thread is going to be something that you feel is missing in your industry, or it's going to be something that answers the reason why your potential client has not been able to create the long lasting results or changes that they've tried to achieve in the past. It's the missing link to success. So like for me, with the nervous system, like there's a lot of people who will talk about strategy, but strategy without that foundation of safety and capacity is impotent. It doesn't work. Then there's people who are going to talk about mindset, and mindset makes sense, but trying to change the way your mind works and your thinking without actually anchoring safety and capacity in your body and in your nervous system won't work. You'll change your mindset for a hot minute, and then you'll go right back to your old way of being and believing, which is why so many people struggle with seeing long-term change, because they're not going deep enough into like literally the roots of what created the mindset to begin with. So for me, nervous system expansion work has been the missing link, the missing piece to shifting your mindset and to being able to make the strategies you're using work, and even pick the right strategies for you, and to finally create the visibility, the abundance, the impact that you've been wanting to create. So once you have a sense, and in like a couple minutes, I'm going to actually give you 3 questions that I have to help you kind of figure out what your golden thread is. But once you have that thing, your big idea, you literally want to focus on it and carry it through everything you do. Make sure it's included in your message, in your bio, on your social media. It's in your elevator speech. Um, you can create a really nice signature talk around it that you can sell for podcast and for speaking engagements. You want to bring it up like almost every time you're doing a piece of marketing. You want to bring it up, even if it's just a one liner. And you want to let it kind of ripple and permeate everything you do, so that at some point people think of you and they think of this one thing. Like people think of me and they think of nervous system expansion. You want to give yourself permission, once you have your golden thread, to be really bold, really clear, really in full conviction about it, like letting people know this is the missing link, this is why they haven't gotten results. Because that boldness, that permeation of your golden thread through everything you do is literally what will lead to referrals. It's what will lead to invitations to talk on podcasts, to be part of summits. It's what will attract premium clients who have done other kind of work but haven't gotten results. It's what will help you become known as a unique, fresh voice and an authentic authority in what you do in your field. It's the foundation of becoming in demand, rather than being stuck, being the best kept secret. So now let me give you those 3 questions to kind of help you figure out what your golden thread is. So question number 1, you want to ask yourself, what is one thing that comes back over in your work, the thing you always end up talking about with clients, or even when you're having conversation with colleagues, the thing that most clients end up needing in the end as they work with you? Like the main issue that comes up, the main thing they have to shift, the thing that just keeps coming back over and over. That's one way of defining your golden thread. Another question you want to ask yourself here is, when you think of everybody else in your industry, in your field, that does something similar to you, what is the one thing you do that makes you different and better than everybody else? What is the one thing that is essentially, from your perspective, the missing link, and explains why people are staying stuck and they're not getting the results they want in a long-lasting, continuous way? So you want to look at why do you think you're better than everybody else, and why are people not getting results? What's the missing link that you include in your work that is making a big difference? And then the last thing, which is a little different, it's more about you rather than your people. And that is, what is the one thing you love, love, love to talk about, that you are super passionate about in your work? It's the one piece that you could literally talk about it all day long, every day, and always feel excited about. And so I want to make sure that this third piece is not left out. So for example, I don't know, I'm trying to come up with something, but like, if you realize, oh, what's always coming back working with my client is some kind of mother wound or some kind of trauma with their mother, but you fucking hate talking about that, then do not pick that as your golden thread. Because part of your golden thread, remember, like, it needs to be in everything you do. You need to always keep bringing it up, and it needs to be the missing link. You want to make sure that whatever you pick, you feel excited to be known for that. You feel excited to bring it up, even in small ways, in everything you do. So that's the golden thread piece, and it's going to really clarify your message. It's going to make your marketing and your offers simple, because there's going to be like this overarching flow that makes your whole business make sense to your audience. And it's going to differentiate you from the competition while disrupting the status quo. It's going to disrupt what your clients think is the answer to their problem. And it's going to make you really attractive, because suddenly you're giving them a different perspective. So once you have that, so you have the expansion piece, right? The safety, the capacity. You have clarity as to how you're different and what the golden thread of your work is. And in some way, your golden thread becomes your brand, just not in a physical color perspective, but in a philosophical perspective. Then the next step is, you've got to be willing and able to share that message and to show up in a way that is both truly authentic to you and also audaciously bold. And so now we're moving into part 3, which is practicing audacity and authenticity marketing. Okay. So to some degree, that audacity and that authenticity is both what will put you in the map and grab people's attention past your messaging, because there's an energetic to it, right? Like, there's a message that grabs attention, and then there's a person behind the message, and that's more the authenticity and the audacity. It will also build trust. That authenticity piece will build trust, and then the audacity piece will grab attention and grow that sense of authority in your business. So what is authenticity and audacity marketing? It's kind of what it sounds like. It's a combination of being truly you and also being in full conviction and in full boldness in your marketing. So the authenticity part is about the courage to unclone your marketing, the courage to break the rules and to do it your way. It's about being an open book about your own process and about your own life, your behind the scenes, so that people can get a sense of who you are both as a professional and as a human. So, by the way, I don't do this very well. I'm really comfortable in my role as a professional. And I forget. I forget to take pictures when I go to a restaurant with my husband. I forget to share personal stuff on my social media. Maybe that is my own visibility wound, like something around I don't feel like it's appropriate. It might be the therapist in me. I was trained as a psychotherapist that I really shouldn't bring my own shit in my client. There's supposed to be a wall there. And so that is a piece that I'm missing in my own marketing that has absolutely affected my ability to grow in terms of my visibility and my reach. Because even though people trust me and know me as a professional, I don't know that they can always relate to me as a human unless they're watching these long ass trainings where I feel like I share a little bit more of my own journey and my own stuff in them. Like in my posts or in my shorter trainings, I don't do a whole lot of that. And so that is one of my missing pieces for me. So, what you're wanting with the authenticity piece is you're wanting people to get to know you, both from a professional standpoint and from a human standpoint. And you want them to know that you're walking your talk, that you are doing your own work, that you are still in the process of becoming rather than being this high up person up there that's above them. You want to make being human and struggling with the thing you work with feel okay and feel normal and feel safe for your people. Now, the audacity part is more the courage piece. It's you giving yourself permission to feel big and audacious and to show up in that bold way with that conviction when, especially when you're speaking about your work. So it's an ability, the audacity aspect is an ability to be unapologetic, to brag about the results you're getting, to brag about what becomes possible when people work with you, essentially, and to state clearly without any doubt, without any shrinking, how your work is different and better from other people who do similar work. It's also about being able to really hold possibility for your people, being able to let them know what transformation is possible when they step in your sphere. So, both authenticity and audacity, to some degree, give you permission to break the rules, and they give you permission to be really real and to speak the truth as you see it. It doesn't have to be everybody's truth, it's your truth. The audacity piece on top of that gives you permission to be disruptive. It gives you permission to bring forward out in the open what is not true, to combat what's not working in your industry, to show your own character and how much what you do matters and why it matters so damn much to yourself, and to show yourself in your brilliance in some ways. And it's unfortunate, but oftentimes a little friction, a little disruption actually builds that energy. So I was having a conversation with a colleague recently who does Facebook ads. And she was telling me how she's seeing all these agencies and all these people say shit in there. That's just not true. And one of my comments to her was like, I'd create a video about that, or I'd create a post. You don't need to out the other person and say who they are. But you could say, hey, I just saw somebody who's big in the industry say this, and this is just plain not true. And this is how I do it, and it works really well. So be weary of people who tell you this. This is just not the truth. That is disruptive. That is poking the bear in some way. But it is also the thing that's going to put you on the map. It's also the thing that is going to show how you're different. It's like me saying, hey, mindset work without nervous system work is bullshit. It doesn't work. That's why you're not seeing the changes you want. That's why you've been reading all the damn mindset books and you've invested in a shit ton of programs and you're still feeling small. You're still scared to go live. You're still doing this. Or I could say, hey, energy healing is amazing. It's wonderful, but it's not long lasting if you don't go to the root and you don't include the nervous system in there. This would be me being disruptive and being audacious in my content. And I do a little bit of it. I'm also a people pleaser. I'm a peacemaker. And so I sometimes struggle with doing that. But I will tell you that all the posts where I have called out things that I think is bullshit in the industry or things that I think is just a plain lie or is going to lead people astray are always the pieces of content that have the most reach, the most comments, the most movement around them. So Audacity marketing doesn't have to just be disruptive marketing. It could also be you sharing wins, you celebrating, you sharing testimonial. Audacity marketing is also you not being afraid to sell directly. So, like every week, having a direct sales post where you invite people to join your program or to get on a call with you, and you don't feel the need to automatically give them a shit ton of value before you invite them on a call. You just straight up say it. Hey, this is what I have available for you if you want this results. This is how to get started. So the mix of authenticity, because the authenticity will soften you. It will make you feel like a human. It will make you feel likable and trustworthy and relatable. And then the audacity piece will make you look like a powerhouse. It will be a little disruptive, but it will really show your power and your brilliance and how you're different. The mix of those two things together is extremely compelling to somebody who is looking for the solution you provide. So what we're doing here is we're essentially doing the opposite of vanilla. We're really, from the authenticity perspective, we're showing ourselves in all our shapes and in all our colors. We're showing ourselves as moms, as partners, as people who really take care of their self-care, as people who love to go to the gym and lift weights. Like we're showing the fullness of who we are and how we're not vanilla. And in Audacity, we're showing the fullness of our power and of the power of the work we do, and that we're not vanilla in that way, by creating maybe slightly confrontational content or content that goes against the grain or the convention of what everybody else believes. In the end, your authenticity and audacity marketing is there to expand people's perspective, to expand their mind, to expand their hearts, to expand their paradigm, and to give answers to questions they have had that they have not found anywhere else, and to give them answers from a place of feeling really seen and really safe with you. Remember, safety is the foundation of expansion. That's true for you, but it's also true for your ideal client. If you're going to ask them to step into expansion by investing to work with you, by trusting and anchoring the possibility of the future that they want, then you actually have to build that sense of safety underneath as well. All right, let me look at my note. Do I need to say anything else? Did I miss anything? All right, so I'm coming back to part one. You cannot be authentic or audacious in your marketing if you don't feel safe being you, if you don't feel safe being big, if you don't feel safe being seen in that bigness. You will not be able to sustain it, or it will fall flat again, or you will actually be putting on a face or a front rather than be truly authentic. So, regulating and expanding your nervous system, shifting your identity is what will allow you to feel safe and to feel so safe in you, in your bigness, in your life, in your business, in the work that you do, that authenticity and audacity marketing almost comes out and comes out of you naturally. Because if something in you feels like being this big, being this bold, being this bright is too dangerous, or it will attract negative attention and I won't know how to handle it. If some small part of you doesn't feels like it's too dangerous to be this transparent, then you will block, your nervous system will literally contract and block your ability to do it. And you will go back to playing small and hiding out, or you will go back to being vanilla, and you will go back to not sharing or not showing up quite as boldly and bravely as you could. So we've got expansion, we've got the golden thread, your big idea, you're essentially the philosophical underpinning of the work you do that differentiates you. We got authenticity and audacity marketing, being real and being bold to build that know, like, trust and that authority. And now let's talk. Part 4 is all about a couple different ways to grow your audience. Because once you have these 3 things in place, then the aim is about giving people who have no idea you exist an opportunity to actually digest your content and discover you in some way. And I'm going to give you 2 things you can do. The first one is what I mostly do, and it's worked well for me. And then the second part, I've done it a couple times. I should do it more. I've had my clients do it with a lot of success. So I want to invite you to consider both of these ways of doing that. The first is I want to invite you to spend 10 minutes in 2 groups 3 to 5 times a week, 10 minutes in each group. And what you're going to do and these are groups where your ideal clients are hanging out. Now, by the way, like, let's say you're a relationship coach. That doesn't mean that you automatically go to a group where people have relationship issues, because there's a good chance that that group was created by somebody else who does relationship coaching and mentorship or therapy, and they might not love you being in there giving advice to their people. But like, if you're a relationship coach, you might still join like a women's empowerment group, or you might still join a transformational group where women might bring up, or even an entrepreneurial group where women might bring up relationship issues. And then you will answer questions in regards to relationships, or you will post in regards to relationships and how they affect whatever the topic of the group is in these groups. I do that in a couple different groups, and I have definitely gotten clients from those groups. I literally look through the feed. I find a couple questions that somewhat relate to what I do, where I can bring nervous system work in there. And usually what will happen is when you respond to somebody and your response is detailed and it offers value, people will click on your picture and they will go to your personal profile to find out who you are and what you're about. And if they like what they see on your feed, they will follow you or friend request you or even send you a message. Now, part of doing this strategy correctly means that you have to not be afraid to share some of your work on your personal profile. So now we're back to not being afraid being seen. We're back to authenticity and audacity marketing, being able to actually have on your personal profile things about your work so that they know who you are. If you're only posting in your business page or in a group behind, then they're going to look at you, they're going to check you out, and all they're going to see is you and your kids, or they're going to see nothing, like it's a dead zone. If you notice people who are, I'm generalizing here, but highly successful coaches and mentors, their work is their life. They don't make distinction. They talk openly and actively about their work on their personal profile. They're not trying to say, oh, well, my mother and my uncle and my high school people are there, so I don't want to share about this. Fuck that shit. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is my character. This is my conviction. This is why I'm on this planet to share. If you don't fucking like it, unfriend me. And that's the piece around, like, I don't feel unsafe sharing my work where people who are family members or old friends or elementary school friends will see what I do. I'm not ashamed of what I do. I'm not trying to hide it. I'm not trying to make them comfortable and afraid that they're not going to want to see that content. I share on my personal profile what is of value to me. And if somebody doesn't like it, they have the freedom and the right to either like not pay attention to it in their feed or to fully unfriend me or unfollow me. And that's okay. It's okay for me and it's okay for them. So for this tactic strategy to work, you need your personal profile to be a full, like to really fully represent who you are as a business owner and who you are in terms of the work that you do and the movement that you're building. Another really good strategy that I have used and that my clients have used is to do a cross freebie promotion. So it's really simple and everybody wins. It puts your work in front of eyeballs that would have potentially never seen it otherwise. So here's the way you would do it. First, and again, all of this is foundational on the three pieces. You need to know what your golden thread is. You need to have some sense of authenticity and audacity so that you can create a really great high value freebie that is in alignment with what you do and that truly highlights the work you do, positions you as an expert and your work as different and unique. And so once you have that freebie and you have some kind of opt-in page so that people have to give you their email address to get it, usually, then you want to make a list of all the other business owners, entrepreneurs, transformational leaders who serve a similar audience than you, but are not in direct competition with you. And you would ask them if they would be interested in doing a freebie cross promotion, some kind of exchange where you share their freebie with your email list and your social media platforms and your audience, essentially, and they share yours. And we see like highly successful people do that all the time. You'll receive an email from them and they'll say in their email, hey, my good friend so-and-so has this training coming up. Hey, my good friend so-and-so just put this new workbook together. That's fire. Like, here's the link for you. This isn't about trying to get money out of the other person. You're not trying to this is simply about helping each other share our work with more people who might not know about us. You can also do this. You can do an interview exchange. Like if you work with similar audience, but you maybe deal with it from different perspective, like they interview you about your perspective and get to input their input. You interview them from their perspective and put your input in there. And suddenly you have like multiple ways that you're each helping each other connect to more people who might really resonate with a different message and with each other's work. So this is part 4, being visible in groups or working with one individual. And here's the thing, like imagine if you did that once a month. Once a month, you worked with a different colleague who did something slightly different, and you kind of like put each other front and forward towards each other's audience. It wouldn't take a shit ton of work. You're not sending your audience an email every week with somebody new. You're just doing it once a month, sending a couple emails about somebody else's freebie, and they're sending a couple emails about yours. Maybe you're doing an interview with them. You're actually creating content and value on for your audience. If you did that for a whole year, you would, without doing a shit ton of extra work for yourself, you would be in front of 12 people's audience that you normally probably would have not had access to. So it's that simple. So let's recap. First, you elevate your identity through nervous system expansion work. You anchor safety, you increase capacity, and you elevate identity. As I like to say, you go deep in the roots of who you are so you can rise. Then you clarify through your golden thread what makes you unique, what is the big idea, the philosophical underpinning of your work that you want to get known for, that is the missing link in your industry. Then part 3 is you show up in an elevated, in an expanded way. You're sharing authentically who you are from all these different facets. You're embodying that authenticity, that truth, that realness that's going to build likability, relatability, trust. And you're also showing up in your brilliance in a bold and audacious way with full conviction of the work you do. And you're in the process of doing that, you're introducing people to a new paradigm, a new way to look at change and transformation in your field, and setting yourself up as an expert and an authority. And you're literally creating that authority, that know, that like, that trust in doing that. And then finally, the last piece is when you have these 3 things in place, then it's time to grow your audience and to get your work and your message in front of new eyeballs. And you can do that either by going in other people's group and just being of service and answering questions and making sure that you have some really powerful content on your personal profile so people know exactly who you are and what you do when they check you out. Or you can do that by working with colleagues who do something similar or serve similar audiences, and making sure that you cross promote everybody and each other, either in your freebie or doing interviews or a combination of both. This is the best way I know to really stand out and to truly explode your visibility so that you can really start to scale and make more money or charge more money. It's not even about scaling and bringing in automatically more clients if you don't want that. But the moment you have these things in peace and you're really seen as an expert, you have the ability and the capacity to ask, receive, have, and hold more money. So if this training was helpful, please share it with other people, friends, colleagues that you think could benefit from that. And if you sense that in some way you have been holding yourself back, that you have been blocking your visibility, blocking your momentum, blocking your ability to receive the results you want and to attract and enroll highly committed clients that you will absolutely love to work with, and you want to shift that, you want to rewire yourself, you want to rewire your business, you want to rewire your marketing, your messaging, your life for more money, more freedom, more high quality clients, more influence, impact, and significance, then I would love to work with you, and I would love to show you a way to do that without stressing, without second guessing yourself, without pushing, efforting, or even leading to self-sabotaging yourself. The way for us to start working together, the way I start working with everybody, is I start with a 90-minute one-on-one intensive. Call it the Wired for Wealth intensive, where we essentially we discover what are the wounds and the blocks that are keeping you small, keeping you capped. And I show you a step-by-step process to unlock you, unlock your brilliance, unlock your genius, unlock your messaging, unlock your money by stepping into that sense of expansion. When you work with me, it's always a marriage of neurology, identity, and strategy. And we marry these three things to shift your current set point and to create a completely new experience within you, in your life, in your leadership, in your business, a completely new experience of leading and receiving so that you can have greater income without the pressure. It's literally greater income with greater freedom. This nervous system work, this identity and strategy work, it allows you, as I stated right at the beginning, to tame the chaos and to allow you to become still and spacious in any storm, whether that chaos is internal chaos, drama, trauma, overwhelm, burnout, or whether that chaos is external anywhere from family crises to the crisis of the world, to business crises, team members, shit not working. Like, we as entrepreneurs will always have chaos, internal or external. How do I know? Because we're human and there's no way out of it. But what we have is we have the capacity, we have the ability to create self-mastery and to figure out and to have tools in place to tame that chaos and to become that lighthouse in the storm. This work, the marriage of the nervous system, the neurology with identity and strategy, is going to help you unlock your power and break through any invisible barrier that's keeping you small and keeping your income like capped at some kind of upper limit or upper ceiling. It's going to allow you to effortlessly start to take aligned action. Aligned is important here. It's not just about action, it's about aligned action, and to start to create consistent results in a way that actually feels really good, and you're able to hold and sustain and replicate them, like that steady growth and steady results that we can count on, which feels really yummy to our nervous system because it's reliable. And then this work is going to help you to create higher revenue. It's going to release all the resistance you have so that what the results you're creating, the vision you have, you can start to receive that. It can start to flow in. And it's going to do that by increasing your capacity as well as your calm confidence so that you're showing up as the leader that you want to be, that you know yourself to be. So the way to start this work is to book one of these intensives, and we will kind of like explore what's keeping you stuck. I will give you some very clear guidelines of where there's a contraction. And then I will teach you my proprietary hatching protocol that shows you step by step exactly how to get yourself out of that contraction back into a place of expansion so that you can show up from that boldness, from that authenticity, from that audacity, from that sense of safety and capacity. And then if we both decide we want to continue to work together, then I'll give you a couple different options that will fit your needs and your budget. So that's what I have for you. The link to book this call with me at a 55% discount is in the description of this video. And I will leave you with just this one last piece. I want to invite you to remember that you have everything you need to succeed inside you. You are the most peaceful and powerful force in your life and in your business. And your nervous system literally holds the key. It is the path to healing your past and everything that you've experienced that makes you feel unworthy or small or unsafe now. But it is also the gateway, the pathway to your potential and to the future that you desire. So your woundedness is held in it, but your potential, your bigness is also held in it. And this work literally brings both of those together to be brought back into wholeness, into fullness, so that you can start to show up in the present as who you truly are. All right. I'm off my soapbox. That's what I have for you. This was a long training. I hope you got some value out of this. I'm sending you love and wishing you a wonderful rest of your week and weekend. And I will be back with something, I'm sure, next week. Mwah. Bye.